At 10 p.m., what do you do if you see somebody in the park after that?
That is after 10 p.m., that is actually an ordinance being after park after hours, so you can call one of us and we can address that issue.
If you see somebody when you're driving by, what do you do?
We're supposed to get out and address that issue if they see him in there.
Okay.
Call them, nobody come out, or,
There are people that sleep in the park.
That needs to be fixed.
I will certainly put it out there and we'll look at addressing that issue.
They're near homes. They're not homeless. They're just not at their home.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with the operations that we've done on Elmwood, that, pushed some back out this way. So we'll start addressing that part as well, park I guess. Yeah, the part down Elmwood, we get it all the time, people being there after hours.
Okay.
Anytime after dark, we'll call now.
There you go.
This isn't our neighborhood, but I saw on Facebook, somebody in Pearlwood posted, the window on their back door broken in at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess. They didn't have cameras, so they didn't have a visual or whatever, and whoever it was took off, I guess, when they realized the homeowners are home. But did you all have any information?
I would have to, look, that report up, get more information on that. But it's, usually Earlwood and Elmwood, if something, I'm sorry. Usually in Elmwood and Earlwood, if something happens in the neighborhood, my phone is ringing. So, I haven't heard anybody from over there contact me about that yet, but I'll have to look that report up and see what's going on with it.
Do you know if they call us or not?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on that. They didn't say anything about them reporting or anything. But I'll reach out to
I
them.
would certainly assume so, since the glass was actually broken.
I would hope they would report it.
All right, any other questions for city officers?
They had an officer come out and the report was filed.
Okay, I'll check it.
I got a question. The shooting that they had the other morning, are y'all doing anything different about that club there on River Drive and Pearl Street?
So that club is actually in Richland County's jurisdiction.
Okay.
And if I know Sheriff Lott, like I've known him over the years, he'll be trying to shut that club down.
Again.
No, it's not. So they'll deem it a nuisance and, they end up shutting it down, so. Right. So what happens is, when we have these clubs, these people get them and then they'll change the name of them. They'll put it on another ownership. They'll change it, make it like a bistro or whatever, and it's still a club. There's a process that we have to go through to make sure that we can deem them as a nuisance. As long as they're in good standing with the Department of Revenue, it's usually very hard for us to do. For y'all who don't know me, I'm Captain Hicks. I'm the North Region Commander. That's what I want to speak on. We had a very busy weekend in the city of Columbia. We had they had 5 shooting incidents and 6 people shot. We had a homicide yesterday, but it was domestic related in the Harbison area, but it's in the city's jurisdiction. But right around here in the North Region itself, we had a couple people shot in Collie, we had people shot up on Willow Run at 511 Alcott, and the Margaret H. Miller Cosmetology building over there on Fontaine Road, which has been a problem for the city for years. So we're looking at them also as a nuisance, because it's not a cosmetology center, it's actually an event hall. They host weddings, they host parties, they host a whole lot of stuff there. But we had a very busy weekend, and it's getting ready to be warm. Spring break is coming up. These kids are gonna be out of school, they're gonna be moving around. So we ask that if you see something, please call us. If you hear something, call us. All the intel that we can get, because a lot of stuff that we have to do now is technology and intel based. Little things count. If you don't think it counts, you're hurting us. You're hurting your community. So pick up the phone, give us a call, let us know the information that you're hearing, that you're reading on social media. The people that follow social media like that, we have a social media team that actually follows it, but some things we may miss. So we ask that, you know, we're reaching out to you guys to help us so we can help y'all to make sure the community is safe.
Last couple of weeks, we were having, the Eau Claire students come down, like, typically on a Friday to fight. Can I get more patrolling, you know, it's hot?
Is it after school?
Yeah, like, they do the meet up, but you know the one that come to park on a regular basis. So apparently, first couple weeks ago was a girl, and then the last week was a boy, supposed to be boy. So they're talking at school, and they say Hyatt Park is the meet up. So, I would want to go down to the talk with the principal, Mr. Montgomery, because it's starting to become, every Friday, it starts to become headache. Like, it starts to be.
Well, if you don't see it, if you don't see anybody, just call, because we still have calls for services. I don't wanna tell you I'm gonna have somebody there, and we have something major kick off, and nobody's there, so just get the call and dispatch.
So that's what I did, I called these guys, and they were able to, the first time I didn't know anything about it, they were already started fighting up here about that.
So about what time, 3:30, 4 o'clock?
Yes, around that time.
Okay.
The girls, they were like walking around outside, and then they already knew the time they were gonna meet up to fight. So they were actually fighting, the girls were. But the boys, I kinda nipped that in the bud, cause they started running out the gym, and I'm like, nah.
So they're not fighting on the inside, they're fighting on the property,
Yeah,
on the
on the
outside.
property.
Okay.
And so that's another thing with them being there after 10 o'clock. You know, we leave at 9, I mean, they still be there. I don't know, our cameras don't control all the ground.
Right.
Another issue that we have, so we have a lot of heavy foot traffic, and we just, nobody's running them off the ground.
Yeah, so we do have a city ordinance, for that, it's prohibit acts in a park, and that's what, more like what, he was saying about people possibly sleeping in the park, but it's a park, people gonna cut through, so there's a subsection to it, if they're cutting through, of course, we're not gonna charge them. But if they're camping out, we gonna definitely take care of that, because they're not supposed to be, in the park. Are they sleeping in those little pothole things, or are they just sleeping out in the open? They up in those little,
But we see them in there and they're, you know, a little crowd hanging out. It's, yeah, they're settled in for the evening.
we'll take a look at it, and if you possibly see, an officer go by the park and not stop, they're probably going to another call for service. That's more, a higher priority, and sometimes they get a chance to come back, sometimes they don't. But, me and a community person did talk about those little potholes, those little culverts that they built, was gonna be a haven for the homeless. When it's raining, inclement weather, they can go right up in there. I understand they put it out there for the kids to play in, but they're gonna take them over. That's a nice little hiding spot, because you can't really see it from the road, you about to get in the car and walk through it.
And the thing is, the little kids love it.
Yeah.
I mean, they do.
Maybe it should have been maybe fenced in or something to keep.
Well, I was just gonna ask that. Would a perimeter fence help at the park?
I can't speak for park recreation, but of course it would.
Thank
It'll
you.
It'll make it hard for them to get in, but also make it hard for us.
We were promised a perimeter fence. I just wanted to hear you say it would help.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well, if y'all have any other questions or concerns you want to raise to Captain Hicks or Captain Rogers, y'all can maybe, would y'all mind meeting folks just here in the entrance if y'all, if anybody else needs to speak on anything? Thank y'all for coming, appreciate that.
Still got our
Can you keep it brief?
deputy.
I tried my best to brief it. I don't want to take up all your time. Outstanding guy right here.
Legend, right?
Jimmy Rogers, they legends. But anyway, I'm not gonna be long. I'm glad to see so many people out this evening. It makes me feel good to know that we have, people that still like to come out to the community meetings. Only thing I wanna talk about, Braylon is not here tonight. We had a family emergency, that's your CAT team officer. If anyone doesn't know who Braylon is, he's your CAT team officer. On the 13th of this month, the North Columbia Resource Fair. Y'all know what 5909 North Main Street is? It's right on the other side of the cheapo gas station. There's an empty lot right there. Well, there was a fair put together by the North Columbia Resource Fair, and some of the business people put this together. And I'm gonna tell you who was out there and the reason why they put this fair together. There's a lot of homeless people that need a place to stay. There's a lot of people on drugs. There's a lot of mental illness going on. A lot of people have financial problems, and along with a lot of people having problems with their youth, their children. So let me tell you who was out there. The sheriff was out there. I mean, there was a bunch of people out there. They had Loredac out there. And I'm gonna name some of these agencies. I may not know all of them, but MIRCI. Anybody know who that is? The Corporate Ministry, Transitions, Boys and Girls Club, Corporation Health, Palmetto Place, Our Place of Hope, 180 Place, South Carolina BPPS. Y'all know who that is? Okay. They were out there. Well Partners, Dental and Eye Health. They were out there too. Mental Illness Recovery, Center Industries, Sister Care. Y'all know what Sister Care is. Columbia Area Mental Health, Christ Central Ministry, Resource Center, Maintenance Fatherhood Coalition, the Courage Center, and NAHI. Y'all know who it is? NAHI? Any help on that? Okay. South Carolina Department of Mental Health, Supported Housing Services, the Goodwill, Trinity Recovery Services, Palmetto Place, Children and Youth Services, Stepping Stone Ministry, Humanity, South Carolina Works, Brooklyn, Lakeview, and Empowerment Center. All of these agencies was out there on the 13th, and they were out there trying to get people off the street, and they were out there trying to get people to come there so they can give them housing, and anybody having mental illness problems. So it was all positive, and it was in the 29203 area, and it took place right there on North Main. And the day before, the Denny Terrace had one. But it was held at the Denny Terrace Community Center. And they had a fair. And it was pretty much set up similar to this because they were trying to help people. Okay? And that's what it was put together for. Now, this Thursday at Bethlehem Baptist Church, the Wiley Kennedy Center, they're going to have a function there. I think it starts at 10 o'clock. And it's all based on the community trying to help the community. All right? I think they're going to have a news media there. I think Braylon and I have to be there from the sheriff to do a press conference. But other than that, unless y'all have any questions for the county, I appreciate y'all giving the city all of the hard stuff to take care of, because that's what they're supposed to do. All right, we are secondary, they are primary. So.
I have the same question I just asked him about the club right there on River Drive and Pearl Street.
Okay, that's in the city.
Well, he just said it was the county. You just said it was the county.
It is the county.
It's in the county.
Okay, that's in Region 4. That's not in my region. I don't know anything about it. That's in Region 4. I'm in Region 3.
It's on River Drive.
It's on River Drive and Pearl Street.
That's in Region 4. I'm working over in Region 4.
You wanna make a call and come back and tell us?
I'll try to do my best. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you. But if you ask me something that's going on in Region 3, I can answer. That's over at another region.
Where's Region 3 stop?
Region 3 stops at Monticello Road. Everything on the other side of Monticello is in Region 4. That's not us.
We do have major concerns about that property, so could you either send someone from that region?
You're gonna probably, I'm gonna tell you how you best handle that, okay? 'Cause I'm gonna tell you how to do it the best way, and the fastest way. Send the sheriff an email with your concern about that place, and what he's gonna do is he's gonna shoot it down to the Region 4 captain. And then that captain out there in Region 4 will have them make contact. Let the sheriff know that you wanna make contact with the Region 4 captain, okay?
Okay, we'll do
That's how you deal with that. All right, you go to the top, and then the sheriff will send it down. All right? Now, I know you told me to be very short. Y'all know about the new gun law, right? They passed that gun law? All right, so I'm just letting y'all know that when y'all out riding around in your vehicles and somebody accidentally or somebody run you off the road, just don't try to do anything to try to get back at them, because this person can be carrying a weapon, because they made it very hard for us now to enforce the gun law. Okay? Anybody can walk around from 18 on up with a weapon on them. Now, felons are not supposed to be carrying a weapon, but we don't know that. We just can't walk up to somebody and say, hey, you got a weapon on, I need to know if you're a felon or not. You can't do that. All right? It's almost like, I bet you everybody in here has a driver's license. If you're driving down the road, I can't just stop you and ask you, do you have a driver's license? I have to have probable cause. So if somebody's walking down the street with a weapon and they cause a problem, then we can address it. But if they just walking down the street, not doing anything wrong,
Brandishing a weapon is still illegal, right?
say it again?
Brandishing a weapon is still illegal.
You mean pulling it out and pointing it at somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pointing and presenting.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about someone just walking. No, like one time you see somebody walking through your neighborhood with a gun, you can call and say, this guy got a gun. Then we can do about it. Okay? All right, same thing with pulling the vehicle over. He can have it up on the dashboard, between his legs, on the seat. You know? All right? So, that was passed.
So how did that come to pass? They voted that in,
Yeah,
right?
what happened, the legislature's House of Representatives, they voted it, they sent it over to the Senate approved it, they sent it to the governor, and he signed off on it, and
Be careful who you vote for.
there you go.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Can that be challenged?
The only way that's gonna be challenged is you're gonna have to get with your senators, your representatives, and as I was told, and, here comes your senator right here. This is a good question that you can ask Senator Tamika Isaac about the gun law, because he asked could it be challenged, and I told him, I said, not by us, by law enforcement, but maybe she can elaborate on it a lot better than I can, because she knows a lot about that.
Can it be challenged?
I'll let her get out of the way.
Thanks, Dr. Keenan. Thank you.
By the people here, the citizens, the community, because, I mean, I don't mean no harm, but what I'm hearing here, not helping me a bit, I don't feel comfortable with none of this.
Yes, I understand that. No, at this point, it can't be quote challenged. It certainly can be repealed. And so to do that, we need to make sure we're communicating with our elected representatives. The reality though is the representatives that elect you all voted against it. So we need to.
They still work for us,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
So we need to get people, well, yes, you can see, you would like to think that,
No,
but
I
there,
do think that.
but there
Y'all
are.
work for us.
They voted against it. We voted against it.
No.
Yeah, they're on our side,
I understand that, but they.
I think he's talking about other people, but what I'm saying is, it's great to say that, but I'm gonna tell you, you have senators and representatives up there, they'll say, when you call them, they'll say, where do you live? If you don't live in their district and you don't vote for them, they don't care what you say. So the strategy is to talk to your friends, your neighbors, your cousins, the people who have representatives in Anderson, and Greenville, and Spartanburg, and Charleston, and areas where their representatives were gung-ho that they didn't care that law enforcement was against it. They didn't care that there was no financial impact study on what the training at SLED, would cost. If you call SLED today or tomorrow morning and say, hey, I understand that permitless carry passed a couple weeks ago, and part of that bill is that you're supposed to provide me free CWP training. When can I get my training? SLED is gonna tell you, well, we don't have it set up. We don't have the money. Because this bill passed without everything being in place. The whole training piece was added in at 11 o'clock the night before the vote to get the Republicans who actually did understand this was a bad law, that were planning to vote against it. In order to get them to vote for it, then they said, okay, let's offer free training so that people are encouraged to get training. So.
All right, guys, we're gonna cut that off because, we gotta.
I'm sorry, but I wanted to, I'll answer any question you have, but to answer your question about challenging it, where I think challenges will come is, where if you have, and just to be, y'all know me, I'm gonna be very frank and honest, if you have a black man walking with his permitless carry gun down Main Street, and law enforcement stops him, and he says, "Why are you stopping me? You can't stop me under this law. I'm gonna challenge it." Those are the kind of legal challenges that probably can happen. But the other part of that is a whole effort, and Moms Man Action, if y'all aren't members, get with Moms Man Action. They have a whole campaign that they're putting out to try and get the folks who voted for it, try and defeat them because they're up for re-election, and then those that they can't defeat, they're trying to get them to change their mind. Anyway, I'm sorry,
No,
Tyler.
I appreciate it. Thank you for coming and thank you
Thank
for
you, Senator.
providing us the update. Thank you, Sergeant Pearson, for the update from the county. All right, guys, let's move quickly through some of our top line items. I'm gonna get to a couple of our public service that came and visited us today. Bob, can we do an approval of the minutes from the last two meetings?
Let's see, Betsy, do we have meetings from, or minutes from the January meeting? Yeah, we didn't approve them last time.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't realize that was.
Okay. All right, well, so we'll revisit that
Yeah.
later on. Last meeting, after the law enforcement update, we had some announcements which are past, so I won't go through them. We had committee meetings from National Night Out, the membership committee, Hyatt Park committee, and we had a lot of discussion of Hyatt Park stuff, which I'm sure we'll be hearing more about tonight, so I won't go into detail on that. We had officer elections. By the way, from now on, I'm gonna try real hard to get the minutes done before the meeting notice goes out, so that Ty can send the minutes out with the meeting notice, and we won't have to go through any detail on minutes in the meeting from now on. So, I just didn't have it together to do that this time, but next time, hopefully. Elections, president, Ty Ziegler, vice president, Lyman Munson, treasurer is Elizabeth Leverett with Debbie Wilslager as the unofficial. Secretary, yours truly, and assistant secretary is Ellen Triplett. Then we had a bunch more announcements and a lot of discussion of all the great things that are happening in Hyatt Park right now. And we'll be talking more about that tonight, I think. One thing I will mention is that the mobile food market debuted in between then and now. And the mobile food market hours have been changed. So they were from 11 to 5 on Mondays. They are now from 10 to 3. So if you want to come out and support the market, please do. And between 10 and 3 on Mondays in the parking lot, right across the street in Hyatt Park. Had some discussion of community development. Columbia Empowerment Zone allowed us to use their building at North Main Plaza for our kind of our New Year's party, and that turned out to be really great. So we'd maybe like to try to explore using that facility again in the future. And there's, let's see, I think that's it. We've got, we also had some discussion of the new apartment complex that's going to be built, and I think you got some more information about that, so I won't go into that too much. And that's pretty much the whole, meeting.
All right, is there a motion to adopt the February minutes? Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the minutes are adopted. Thank you, Bob, appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna tick off through a few announcements real quick before we get to our guests. Let's see, tomorrow, can everybody hear me, by the way? Just fine. All right, so tomorrow at Hyatt Park, the kiosk that Betsy worked so hard to get grant money for and build out, going through the history of the park and all that, that will be unveiled tomorrow at the park at 11 a.m. There'll be a ceremony Some of our local dignitaries will be there and all that. So please join us for that if you can. Betsy, do you have any details about the historic Columbia canopy ceremony?
Oh, yes. I think, some of you may be aware of the Columbia Canopy project that was, a joint project of Historic Columbia and Columbia Green. And, it has to do with, planting trees and recognizing leaders in so-called underserved communities. And so Sabrina Odom, our friend, has been in charge of our area and has asked us, so on next time we meet, which is
April 15th.
April 15th, there's going to be at 6 o'clock in the park a dedication of the marker for the Columbia Canopy project. So that's, Sabrina suggested that we meet right before the meeting. So that's the plan.
Thanks so much. Bob just told you about the mobile food market. It'll be at Hyatt Park every Monday from 10 to 3. For those of you on our Facebook group, there is a, y'all know that Andrew's been doing kind of a renegade social things for our neighborhoods. They're hosting a women's wine night on April 23rd at 6 p.m. See me about the dress if you need to get dressed for that. I don't want to get that out publicly, I guess. But there's a women's wine night, so if y'all want to participate in that. And Mimi's not here, is she? I saw Mimi come in earlier, maybe she walked out. I'll send in our email updates. You probably saw the pitch, the folks that have been doing such a fantastic, there you are. Could you have any details on the fundraiser?
It's actually postponed because yes, so we'll give that information about a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. That's been in some of our emails, so if you wrote that down, please disregard it since that event is postponed. But hopefully there'll be a fundraiser for pitch coming up. They're doing fantastic work in the park, obviously. Jamika, any events going on at Hyatt Park you want to share with us tonight?
Just a reminder, this Saturday, we have our Easter egg roll, 12 to 3, bring the kids out. We have little crafts, little games. We have the hunt outside. We're going to make some baskets and we're going to feed the children. So if you want to volunteer, come out, please come out, support. We are asking this neighborhood to provide some candy if we could. We always need volunteers. So
What's the date and time of that?
12 to 3.
On what day?
Saturday, the 23rd. Also, the community fridge opens up on March 30th, 10 to 12. Come out, get your free vegetables. Last time we had apples and squash and tomatoes and cucumbers and everything is fresh. So it's open to the community. Come out. Tell your neighbors. You don't want to come, tell your neighbors to come out. We serve over about 150 patrons. Come out. So
Fantastic.
10 to 12.
You said that was 10 to 12.
10 to 12.
I got there the last time at 11.
And it was gone.
It was completely gone.
So her thing, my seniors, they be on time. We'll be sitting up and they won't move. So I always set aside for them, sit down, they get in line, but come early, come at 9:30. Okay, come at 9:30. It was a line last time, so come out. Chrissy's doing a fabulous job, and a lot of people are using the service. It's for us. Hyatt Park will have a summer camp this year. Yeah. Ages 5 to 12. We have 25 slots. So this year, we haven't done one in a while. So it'll be the first time we did one in a minute. So come on out. You know everybody? Yes, it's $85 a week. And it's $50 activity fee, one-time activity fee. Come on out.
I'd just like to remind people that the neighborhood association voted to sponsor one of those slots. So there will be money available for one camper each week for the entire summer. So if you know a deserving kid, let's make sure that we know about them.
We have one already.
Oh, we do? Great.
Renee.
This is Renee baby, this Mr. Riley, so. Also baseball, we are looking for anyone, coaches, anybody want to come out, we got a new renovated baseball field. Now we're trying to look for coaches, we're doing T-ball and coaches pitch. So we're trying to work on the kids, it's $25 registration fee. You go to the website and register your child, we're doing T-ball and coaches pitch. And we're also looking for volunteers who will come out and coach for kids. It will start after spring break. So come on out, you can register online, or you can come out the park to do
Thank you so much, Keenan. All right, that's all. That's a lot going on. As someone who once worked with Jamaica at a summer camp for City of Hyatt Park, I would say it's a fun camp. So if you know kids that want to go spend the summer with Jamaica, they'll have a great time. All right. Well, we have oddity bustles here from the city, and Jamaica has combined now from the state. So thank y'all for coming. I can't give y'all a ton of time to speak, but do y'all have any questions y'all want to give either of our public officials that have visited us tonight? Anything y'all wanted to
Yeah, I just want to give
raise to their public
a
officials?
quick update, if that's okay. I know you guys wanted to, hi everyone, I'm Oddity Bustles. I'm one of your at-large council people for those that have not met me. I just wanted to give an update. I was texting with Sheriff Lott about the Vegas nights. And unfortunately, they had been able to close it under a nuisance law under Richland County. However, the judge allowed them to reopen. So they're going to have to re-engage that process again, so it will take some time. From the city side, we've seen that when you have a lot of service calls and you have data to back that a business is a nuisance, that's typically, I think, evidence for the judge to decide that, okay, we need to do something about this. So, keep sharing your concerns with our non-emergency line and with the sheriff's department, because they are really trying, but it's going to be a process once again, unfortunately, for us to see any changes there. And then I just wanted to mention, along with all the exciting things going on, tomorrow we'll be voting to put another $375,000 towards Hyatt Park upgrades as your parks are being renovated, which is very exciting. So very, very much looking forward to seeing how it's going to look over the next couple of months. But other than that, I think we've talked a lot about the mobile market and some of the other updates, but happy to answer any questions.
Real quick, Adeline, I'm going to put you on the spot if you don't mind. Do you know specifically what the money for Hyatt Park is going towards?
I know it's for going towards mostly the equipment upgrades and some of the
Stuff around the baseball field?
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And we're doing it in phases as this budget cycle's ending, and you'll start to see some more things come in July when the new budget starts. Yes, sir.
Okay, now, you remember I went before city council, and Tina Public stated that it was $400,000 to playground equipment. So that was a lot.
Well, it's $375,000, and I believe we budgeted up to $400,000, so we're actually under budget, which is a good thing. And hopefully we can use those dollars towards other park-related upgrades. So you're going to actually see a lot of different parks over the next several months start to get some of those updates, including Maze Park. I know that some of the ones down by Gardner's Ferry are also getting ready for upgrades. So hopefully that's some good news in terms of green spaces. And then you all know that we've spent a lot of time and effort into finally getting Finley Park revitalized. And we have heard that we are on budget. If you're interested to see what the renderings look like, we have those publicly available. But we get updates, we walk through the park, and everything is on time. So we're really excited to see next year what that looks like.
Oddity?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Ellen Fishburne Triplett. I think you heard the discussion about the fights on the park property. And one of the things we were promised early on in planning this whole phase, however many phases with spending money over there, was a perimeter fence and lighting all throughout the park.
So I know we're working on lighting, but I noted the perimeter fence. I'm going to find out about where that is. And
We
if we
really,
can...
really need that because it's a huge pass through. And if they're stopped and they can't get through there, it's going to cut down a lot of the crime.
Okay. I'll definitely follow up and let you know, Ty.
Ellen, I wanna jump on that too, and it's a safety issue, because you've got traffic going 50 miles an hour on
That's
on,
true.
Main Street, and I can just imagine a kid kicking a ball into the street and, you know, so a fence would really help for lots of reasons.
Yes.
So,
Sure don't
yeah.
want gates right in the middle. They need to be inconvenient to cut through the middle.
Right.
Well, we have a Hyatt Park committee we formed, y'all, so, let's, you know, work through that, and we'll get with Audie, and we'll be working with Tina and the mayor and all that too. We have a list of things we're gonna do, ask the city to do, with our park, so, we use that committee to get there. But yeah, I appreciate y'all coming and,
Yeah, absolutely.
Audie, for sharing that with us.
Yes.
Ty, before
Same here.
we move on, one question. When are you actually going to be discussing this $375,000?
Tomorrow.
At what time?
So the meeting starts at 4, it's part of the consent agenda, but now that you've said that, I'll be sure to pull it out so that we can talk about it. Public comment is always at the end of the meeting, so, I don't know, 5:36, depending on how things go. But you're also welcome
You would
to.
vote on the money, and then later on, we could comment on it.
You can comment in many ways. You can also give us phone calls, emails. We count that all towards, you know, especially when people, for example, are for or against a planning decision around, you know, annexing something or rezoning something. We actually do look at the number of emails we got for or against. So if you'd like to share it in advance, you know, I know Tina and I will certainly make sure that the other colleagues of ours on council will know. And I'm going to actually be sure to bring up exactly what the $375,000 will cover, so that the Parks Department can answer that on the record, so that you all can see it if you're watching on Zoom.
I think from our perspective, and as neighbors who have been living with the park for 20 years, we were told lots of things about the timing. Tamika, goes back to your day on council, how things were going to happen, and they just haven't happened that way. So what are the phases? So now the next phase, 375,000, is something more about the ball field. But nobody asked any of the neighbors, maybe we'd like the fence this time, not a new scoreboard. And so how do we affect that change? How do we get involved in that conversation?
You do correct me wrong though, some of that money's for the new playground, right? That we have been asking for a new playground, that is.
Yeah, y'all
We
have
did
asked for
a year
long
ago
time.
ask about the
Yeah.
playground.
Yeah.
So you have to remember, it takes time to be able to allocate that money, because you're asking, but so is another neighborhood across the, you know, across the city. And I think that we've tried to be very fair in terms of making sure we're investing all across the city. And so to be able to do that within a year, I think is quicker than many people have been waiting, so.
I think we're going back to 2008 that we started talking about this. And previous presidents who were presidents at the time when we talked about that, Gail. So year to year, that's always been the excuse. We used to have Mr. Davis here.
So
We
I
did the
can't talk
same
about the
thing.
past. I can only talk about the present and the future, because I'm on council now. I was not on council then. And I promise you, I'm here right now. I'm hearing you. I'm going to find out immediately after y'all were talking about Vegas nights. I texted Sheriff Lott to find an answer for you now. That's the type of person that I am, and I'm going to try my best to get you the information. But I just ask you to look forward, because we can't change what happened in the past. We can just do things better in the future.
We know that the past predicts the future.
Not
And if we're
always.
ignored in the past and our preferences are ignored, and somebody says we're going to do $375,000 for additional base, we didn't know anything about that.
So this is a comprehensive plan that the Parks and Rec Department at some point must have come and present. I may not have been here for that, but it's not like a willy-nilly, we're just doing something randomly. They have built a 5-year plan to make sure that we're covering all of our bases in terms of needs across the city. So I hear your frustration. I understand that staying out of the loop and not being able to give input in a way that feels productive is really frustrating. But I also want you to know that we've been very intentional, and I hear you, and I'm gonna make sure that I take this back tonight to the Parks Department and see if we can be very clear about what those dollars are being spent on tomorrow.
Thank you.
I think too, Bob was drafted an email for us that we were going to present to the city and to Brandon Davis about the park money and all that, so maybe we can just work on that before the meeting tomorrow, me and you, and get together and share it, and make sure we let them know that we appreciate the money that's coming to the park, but keep our list of things that we still have our eye on, that the city has promised before to fund, and we still expect them to. We can make sure that is also raised to council, and Audie, if you don't mind, would you be able to read the letter out during the meeting? Is that possible?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's give that a shot, and that way I know some of us can't make it to the meeting, but, we can do that at least, so. All right. Thank you, Heidi. Senator Devine, anything, can I give you just a few minutes?
Yeah, I really, wanted to just stop by, cause I came by last month and you didn't have a meeting, cause I was like, oh. So I just, Pearson talked about the permitless carry, that's been one of the big things that we have, that was passed and has been signed into law. We are now, as soon as that take up the budget, in the budget, are increases for teachers. There's also, some money going towards the redevelopment of, or moving the offices, DHEC, DSS, all those off of Bull Street. Those will be moving, most of them will be moving to Lexington. And then some will be moving up to, off of Broadmoor Road. So that's part of the budget as well. So I just wanted to make sure that people knew that this was happening. And then really just wanted to make sure you knew, that a lot of folks don't really know what we're doing at the State House. I've noticed that people will call me and they're more local issues, but there's so much that is happening at the state as far as our budget, the laws that we're enacting, making sure that we're investing in the community. Every state senator can have an opportunity to submit projects for funding. Some of the projects that we're working on is I'm working with DOT on looking at, or DOT to look at the lighting, DOT and Dominion, look at the lighting all in North Columbia, because we have some areas that are really dark. And so we're working on that. That's the funding that I'm working on. And then also the Wiley Kennedy Center is doing a Safer Communities project for all of North Columbia. And that's part of, hopefully y'all been involved. If not, that hopefully you'll get involved. But that is to help combat gun violence within North Columbia. And so that is one of my funding requests. And just wanted to let y'all know, please reach out to me if there are state issues, not city issues, not county issues, but state issues that you need me to look into. A couple of things that are on the horizon that we will be looking at is this Office of Health Policy. And I met with Cooperative Health just last week to make sure that our community-based health organizations are really part of the state's overall plan as far as health. But we will have some people are calling it a health czar, but it will be a cabinet agency. DHEC is now split up, so there'll be a health policy and then there'll be environmental. And that happened before I got there, but I think it's really important, especially in North Columbia, as we look at the health disparities in our area, to make sure that we are being part of and understand what's going to happen as far as the health of the state. And then the other thing, last thing I want to say is that part of the legislation that I'm looking at introducing and I've researched is we've talked a lot about food deserts not having grocery stores here. And so looking at what other states have done, there are tax incentives that you can do to recruit grocery stores. And so I've drafted some legislation that hopefully will be able to get passed. We are in a second year of a 2-year session. So anything that doesn't get passed this year will have to be reintroduced. And so I'm strategically talking to a lot of my colleagues right now about the food deserts that we have, particularly in the city of Columbia and North Columbia, and why this is important, so that I hopefully can garner support so that if I file it in the fall, then we can get it passed next year. But if you all have any issues, please go to the State House website or call me. Most people have my cell number. I'll give it to you all again. It's 803-665-1397. I'll make sure you have, okay, 803-665-1397. You can call or text me anytime to my cell, but you can also go to the website, the State House website, and you can search any of your legislators. And if you all don't have it, there is an app. If you go to your app store and put an SC Legislature, there's a legislature app. You can track your legislators, who represent you, what they're doing. You can also see our meetings, which I think is really important. If you would have saw the gun debate, you would see that was a done deal well before we even started debating it. So, yeah, it was a done deal well before we started debating it. But I got up with my little, I could barely talk, and I did try and at least fight against it. But I did have one amendment that passed, and Oddity, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, I've talked to Skip. One of the things that the police chief has been really fighting for is the fact that, if someone loses or has got a gun lost or stolen, there was no, regulation that would require them to report it. So we did, I did introduce, an amendment to that bill, and now, a lost or stolen gun has to be reported within 10 days.
Yay, because we only had a city ordinance and now it's
Yeah.
statewide.
Well,
That's
the city
awesome.
ordinance, I wanted that, and I didn't get support on that. I think y'all was 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
So I proposed that didn't, no one wanted to support that, but I got 10 days.
Hey, that's better than nothing.
So,
Good.
That's awesome.
Good.
Come to you for monies for the neighborhood?
So that's what I was talking about. So every legislator can put in capital projects. It's one-time money because you don't know if it'll be over and over. And so if anybody has projects, but trying to get them in, Chris Hart has them, Chris is the house number for this district, right? Okay. Todd.
For most of our.
Okay. Todd and Chris. Chris and I are working together on several things like the Wiley Community Center and others. Todd, I haven't talked to him about what he's putting in, but yes, there is money, and it needs to be more for capital projects, not programmatic. So if the city wanted, if there was $375 for Hyatt Park and they really needed, $450, then I could put in 75 and see if I could get it in the state budget. So that's something I think that we underutilize, is that your state representatives can ask for money. It's for our entire district, but we can put in projects for fence. So our deadline is already passed for this year, but yes, for next year, hopefully you'll get a fence before next year. But yes, and as y'all are talking about stuff, if there are things that are one-time things, and typically, we can't give it to the neighborhood, but I can give it to the city and designate that the city spends it in this way.
We have some road projects and sidewalk projects that I think we could send your way.
That is sidewalks, y'all know, is very important to me. Yeah, I hope y'all have seen what's happening on Sunset.
Yeah,
and we're finally, after
Game
20
changer.
years, getting to the sidewalks.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, if there are road projects or side projects, and even if there are things like that, if it can go through a department like DOT and stuff, it doesn't have to come through my appropriation. I've talked to Justin Powell, who's the incoming DOT chair. I didn't want to say that. I'll send it to Ty, but on April 4th, and I know that's the same night as CCN, and I'm sorry, that's the only night that worked for Scout Motors and DOT. But we're gonna have a community meeting to talk about Scout Motors and also talk about some of the traffic projects. And so Justin Powell's gonna come and do some stuff, but he's very interested. The great part about Justin is he was a county administrator, and so he understands local government really, really well. And he does understand, I talked to him about complete streets and making sure that we have sidewalks and walkable, bikeable streets, and he's very interested in that. So if there are some projects, if it's not within my personal budget request, I can also ask the department to do some things.
Thank you, Senator Vine and Councilman Bustles, for coming. So happy y'all are in our area and live in our community, and y'all are, even when you made it to the State House, you're still coming to our neighborhood meetings, and this is really where government meets the road, so we appreciate you coming and working with us. All right, y'all, we still have a lot to get to, so I'm just gonna blow through some of it to try to get this meeting as short as possible, but real quick, we're gonna plan a spring porch party. The Wells Loggers have graciously agreed to host it. I'll get with them and get a date for y'all, and we'll send that information out by email and on our Facebook group and all that. All right, one of the big things I want to get to tonight is I've got us finally, I know this is something we've been asking for a long time. I've got to where we can now take online payments. Our neighbor association, through a website called DonorBox, can take online, they're called donations, I guess, but like our membership fee can be paid that way now. Our business membership fee, if we need to take payments for things. So if you haven't, paid your membership dues yet, it's $10 a year. Normally you'd have to write a check or give cash to our treasurer if you can find her, if it's at a meeting or what have you, if she gives you her address. I will send that link out sometime in the next couple weeks. So just be looking for that. You can now pay online. One thing I want to discuss with the folks who are currently neighbor association members, the executive committee met earlier, and we talked about, because this online payment system does have a fee associated with it. It's small, like, there's a credit card fee plus a fee for the website. We propose that, the individual membership fee and the business membership fee, which are $10 and $25, be raised by $2 a piece if the payment's made online. So if you come to the meetings, it would still be $10 in cash or check. If you want to pay online, it would be $12 for individuals. Any discussion on that? And we'll take a vote on it. Okay, so no, any opposition, I guess, is maybe I should ask that. Yeah, Betsy?
I just feel that $10, there's gotta be a year where we raise it a little bit. I mean, it's been $10 for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just saying,
Fighting inflation, see, we're doing our part. How about we, I would propose we table that for a discussion at another meeting so we can fully hash that out since, we haven't really discussed that yet. But I agree, I would actually oppose, or I'd be happy to, address that at the next meeting maybe. Any other discussion about the fee and being able to pay online?
So are you looking for a motion?
I am.
I move that we authorize online payments and that if people pay online, they pay an additional $2 to cover the fees.
A second.
All right, we have a motion to raise the membership fee to $12 and $27 for the individual businesses. If they are paid online, they'll remain the same if they are paid in cash or check at the meeting to the treasurer. That's the motion. There's a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank y'all for the hard work on getting that done. The big business we got to take care of tonight. So I think that'll be really helpful for us. I do think having the ability to pay online will help a lot of people in the neighborhood who don't come to meetings, don't participate as much, but maybe want to help, to be able to join up that way and contribute a little bit. So I think that'll be really helpful. Pat had a very brief update. She's not able to make it tonight for an update for the National Night Out Committee. She's working towards getting the date and finalizing the date for the National Night Out event and working with Seminary Bridge. So not much to look at right there. Is there a beautification report from Janie Nelson?
well, I did turn in 2 or 3 code enforcement issues, but I'm not gonna do that yourself, because he's busy. But that's the issue that I had with giving out the addresses. But I did have 3 or 4 code enforcement issues.
And that's a good reminder, if y'all ever have code enforcement issues, Janie Nelson is our designated liaison. She'll work with code enforcement to identify those properties and identify the violations and make sure they're remediated. So appreciate that, Janie. Thank you. I don't think we really do a Hyatt Park committee report. We got a good one from Oddity, and Oddity came up here a second ago too to tell me that in addition to the playground, the ballpark equipment, there is a partial fence that's going to be included in that money that City Council is voting on tomorrow. We'll get the details from her to see exactly what that entails and where, but appreciate the update on that. We'll keep working on that.
You want treasury report?
Yes, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I did. You're right. I looked right past it. Elizabeth?
We currently have $3,848.17 in the bank. $3,848.17.
And how much of that is grant money that is, that's got a claim on it? In other words, what money do we have that could actually just be spent on whatever we want?
It's negligible. Most of that is ours. We spent down the garden grant and, I think we spent down the other grant, but I did not bring my spreadsheet with me.
And we do have a summer camp scholarship allocated out of that as well. So that's a pretty large expense.
This is the first time hearing of summer camp money, so I am not sure where that's coming from.
We have not expended that money yet, and it is sitting in the bank.
Yeah, we have
It's included in
no,
that.
as far as I know, other than the summer camp, we have no plans for that money. I just told you the number on. And it actually will have a little bit more, the bank and I had a fun discussion over deposits, and they're gonna accept it tomorrow, the sub membership fees that I've selected. doesn't like me using the ATM. It's a thing, but we'll resolve that, and we'll be in tomorrow. Yeah.
All right, real quick, before we get to the last few things, I just wanted to say, we have a good crowd tonight, so thank you all for coming. Are there any new folks here that haven't been, that are brave enough to stand up and just introduce yourselves very briefly? I see some faces I don't recognize. Yes, sir. Stand up. Or you don't have to stand if you don't want to.
I'm good, I'm good. My name is Mike Lewis. I live over in, Powell, my wife.
I've been a member for 20 years, and sometimes I just got away from coming.
Oh, great. Well, welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So,
That's originally how I got here, actually. Yeah. All right, anybody else? Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, my name is Michael Close, and my wife and I moved to the neighborhood about.
No, we're neighbors with Jill.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not her fault that we haven't come, we just haven't been able to make it work with our schedule.
We don't blame people, it's okay.
Welcome, thank you all for coming. Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Close.
Hey, you can take that.
Okay.
I'm Thoraya Biomic. I'm moving to the neighborhood in April. So.
Welcome.
Welcome. All right, thank you guys. Well, appreciate y'all coming. I'm glad y'all are here, and I'm glad y'all are being a part of things.
Pay your
So,
dues.
last few things. These are actually kind of the more exciting things. So I don't want to. I know we're already into an hour, but I really don't want to skip these because
I'm not talking about you.
it's a lot of the good news we actually have this week. And bear with me one moment while I pull the information from my phone. You heard Senator Devine mention that, and we heard it in the last meeting from one of our updates that the sidewalk on Sunset Drive has been funded. County Council, part of its city tax money, has, I guess, allocated the money. I don't know how all that exactly works, but it's still a DOT project. DOT is in the design phase. And let's see, I don't know if I have a way to share it, but essentially, I've contacted the project manager. I think the most important aspect of it is, let's see, one moment, please, is when it will happen. It will be from where there's a gap. I mean, so it's going to be from North Main to River Drive. It's going to be on the north side of the street, so in our neighborhood, along that side of the road, not on the creek side of the road.
Good.
And one more, there's some dates they gave me, so let's see. The project is scheduled, and this is preliminary, so the project is scheduled to be in construction from April 1st, 2024, which is soon, to February 7th, 2025. I'm going to ask them for details on that because I thought that seemed like a long time, although do keep in mind this project requires going over like a creek and all, so I think it's a little more complicated than just, pouring a little concrete. But I'm going to see if that's a time range or the whole amount of time they're going to need to actually finish the project. I'm going to seek some clarification for that.
On April Fool's Day?
That was not lost to me, yes. Yeah, let's hope the DOT doesn't have that much of a sense of humor, but yeah. And as we've seen, sometimes these things take time, so I didn't want to get everybody's expectations too fired up. Maybe it'll be a little longer than that, but it does sound like they're on the move. They have a plan. If anybody wants to see a rendering, like an engineer's rendering of it, I have a copy of that. I can email it to you. So come see me afterwards. I can send it to you. I'm not sure what you want to do with that, but because I couldn't make heads or tails of it, but it looks like a sidewalk. So.
I don't want to start a big conversation here, but I just want to say that I have just a slight concern that we've got the railroad bridge crossing reconstruction happening at about the same time, and there could be some major disruptions with the additional traffic on Sunset while they're also trying to build those the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That's just something that I think somebody ought to be thinking, and maybe they are thinking about it, but I just want to make sure that that's flagged up.
I'm gonna use Monticello to get the 20.
I'll raise that issue. I'm going to send them some follow-up questions, and I'll ask them about that. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, did anybody ever clarify, because we had been told, I thought, that Abingdon was gonna get paved. Then they came through and drew the lines on the old pavement. And then they came through and obscured those and did patches that are now leaking through the patches.
Yeah. So this is let me go on a tangent here for a second. If you see a road in the area that, or any kind of infrastructure thing that needs help and it's a DOT road, there is a tool online, you can go and submit a query and say, please come fix this thing if there's something wrong with it. That said, I use that thing all the time. And it's great because sometimes they come right out and fix things. And other times they do nothing and I get nowhere. And the only problem with that is they never send you, they don't communicate with you. So this is something maybe you can raise at DOT. They're great about coming out sometimes. They'll come immediately, they'll fix things, they'll clear things, they'll paint lines, put new signs up. But then sometimes they just don't do it and you never get a response to explain why. So I've been emailing them for like 3 or 4 years straight about how bad Abingdon is. Never got a response, never had a word said about it, and then all of a sudden they show up one day and it looks like they're paving and they just patched it. So I don't know.
I just thought it was really, like, why, they spent taxpayer money to paint lines down Abingdon. Then they came back a few months later and ripped up some of those areas so that they could patch chunks. And there was an area heading towards Sunset that leaks every
Yeah.
winter.
And that's
It's
it.
been leaking since last year, and they paved right over it without the leaking.
And so that's a problem too, because the city is always, there's a water line under the road, and the city's always going in to fix it, because they need to replace the water line, but then, and maybe that's why, maybe DOT is not going to pay the whole thing until that's replaced. It is on the list of things to be replaced, I don't know how long it's gonna take. But anyway, I'll keep on them, is all I can say, and I would encourage you all to, if you see a problem area in the neighborhood, a problem street, go on that DOT. I think the more things they get, the more they'll respond, so
Since you know the link, would you mind
I'll send it out.
or putting it in the newsletters?
Posting it on Facebook.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, there you go.
I will post that for sure. Okay. All right, so Sunset Drive sidewalk, that's a good thing. On that same street, we have, you know, that shopping center at the corner of River Drive and
Clement.
Sunset and Clement and all that. That empty shopping center is going to be new apartments. I talked to the developer this week. I've invited them, they're gonna come when they get closer to the project being done to speak about it. This is a project that will not get started at the earliest until late this year, and that early start of construction will be like tearing it down, so we're not actually gonna see apartments going up until 2025 or 2026 at the earliest. It is 500 something beds, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. It's market rate apartments. Part of the deal is they're gonna have a parking garage in the middle, so there will be no surface, or very little surface lots. They're gonna be doing a traffic study, which has not even been done yet, and they still need to go through DD, or you know, Planning Commission, DDRC, or whatever it's called, and all that. So all that's down the line, but they have some preliminary renderings of the thing, which I can show you if you'd like. I can, if anyone wants to see it, just send me an email or shoot me a text. I'll send you the renderings they sent me. They're preliminary. They can all change because they have to go through all the commissions and all that. But I do want to give you that update about that project. Was there any questions about it? Anything specifically y'all want me to ask the developers about while they're still in the preliminary stages of designing it?
So they're gonna design it before they do this traffic study, so they don't know.
They know the size they want it to be, the number of units and beds, that, because it's part of it's, the county gave them, I think, a tax break to do it in some way, so they have to do a certain number of beds and all that. And yeah, a traffic study will be part of it. I made them aware that we are concerned about that intersection and how messed up it is. They said the only ingress and egress would be from Clement Road, would have a total ingress and egress as it's planned now, it could change, and that there'd be ingress, I guess, from Sunset, but only from one side of the road, so you wouldn't be able to turn left from Sunset, or is that River? Sunset, yeah.
Yes.
The two, where it goes down to 2 lanes in front of Bucks, you would not be able to turn left, is their idea right now. They I guess would be paying for those little improvements to, you know, stop people from doing that and all that, but you know, landscaping is gonna be part of it and all that too.
You said market rate, so there's not gonna be any percentage of affordable housing included in that?
You know, I wish I'd written every little thing down. He said, no, not really. I mean, they might, I think as part of the tax agreement, have to save some for like, you know, I don't know, a certain percentage of the poverty line, or I'm not exactly sure. It's not secondhand housing.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
We don't have that type of inclusionary zoning laws here, but I know other states do, and it's something that we've talked about wanting to do. It is just market rate.
Okay.
The most expensive thing for them and why it's taking so long is they have to spend $1.2 million to do environmental cleanup for all the tires that have been dumped behind that site. So it's going to be a process, so it's an investment on their end too. They want to see this succeed. So any input that you can give them is going to be important, because they really want to make sure that and we do too, because it's a missed opportunity, it's an empty lot. And we still have a huge unit shortage. Yes, we'd like to see more affordable housing, and we have some things coming down the pike. But even for, those that work in the city, they there's a lot of folks that want to live here, yeah.
Well, the more housing there is, the lower the prices are gonna be, right? I mean, so, if you're talking about market rate, it's.
You have more options.
Yeah, 500 beds would be helpful, I think, especially when the med school eventually gets built, down at Bull Street. It'll be just down the street from Sunset, so I know there'll be more people looking to rent in our area and all that, so I assume that'll be helpful. Thank you for clarifying about the, that it's gonna be a market rate place. And also, an important point that Audie kind of reminded me of too is, the church has owned that land for a long time. Can you hear me, Daisy? The church has owned that property for a long time, so this developer is buying the land and building on top of it, and will own the whole property. This is not a nonprofit situation or anything. This is a private developer building a private residence or private land. So it's added to the tax base and all that. But it won't be subject to restrictions as like a nonprofit or anything where they would want to use it for something this or that. It's just a private property development. Any other questions about that project? We'll have more chance to talk to them. They said they would come present to the community once they have something closer to final designs before they need to go to DDRC and all that. And give us a chance to comment on all that and give our approval or disapproval, so we can tell the city we support or oppose the project. So I'll make sure they come and answer questions when they're actually ready, but it's still a little early, so. Anything else about that one? Okay. Barry, do you have an update about the clock tower?
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
You can imagine there's a high happiness factor in my life now. It took a long time to get something done about that. The way it happened was really funny. I used to, probably a decade ago, there was a guy that worked for the city, and I got in touch with him, and he would see to it that twice a year the clocks were set, the time changes, and at some point it all just went derelict and no more clocks. So this guy's name was John Spade, and I went and found him on Facebook. And I sent him a message. I said, I apologize for, coming to you like this, but I really didn't. And I told him what was going on. And even though he didn't work for the city anymore, he's really quite helpful. And he said, I'll get in touch with somebody. And he came back to me pretty quickly. And even after that, it took a little bit of prodding. So it's like 3 or 4 messages